Hi everyone. My name is Elena Danaan, and it came to my understanding that I had to explain to you in further details about magic. I already made a few videos about magic traditions, interviewed some magical people also. And in these videos that you can find in my Q&A section, I explained to you about the rites related to the interconnectedness with nature, the human and its place in nature, all the cycles of the seasons and of the earth and of the stars, the sun and the moon. Today I am going to tell you about spell casting. We do not say spell making or throwing. There's a specific verb, that is to cast a spell or to uncast a spell. We use this word a lot when it comes also to rites, rituals, when we cast a protection circle of a sacred protected space, and we uncast it at the end of the ceremony. What is it all about? Why am I talking to you about this today? Recently, I got a message from an amazing lady whose name is Una. She is from the Altian people, from the Intergalactic Confederation, and she sent me a message in a peculiar way, which I am not really keen on doing, which is channeling, but she had no other way because I have no communicator to communicate with her. That was the only way. So this channeling has been recorded, and Michael Sala used it in one of his updates. It was so well presented that I didn't feel the need to follow up or add anything to it. But then there's a lot of questions that came after the delivery of this message from Una, especially about spells that need to be uncasted. So I am going to play once again the recording of Una's message related to the travel of some elites to Antarctica. And I talk to you after. They've come to bargain their freedom. They hold keys, and to give these keys, they need to consent to give these keys, because it is not only about material possessions, but it is also about rituals they have performed to lock this planet and the human race of Terra into very dark rituals. These need to be uncast, and they have only them the key to uncast these dark circles traced around each society, human beings. We are meeting them to allow them to uncast these dark rituals, to set free the minds and the protection they set on the monetary institutions they created. A dark, ancient institution, those of the name, the number 33, those of the lower numbers, the reverse triangles, and all those who worshipped the soul harvester, those who worked
to separate the soul from the human beings and bodies are about to leave this planet. Parliamentation deals. You must not believe that we agree to their acts. We displeased all that they've done. Antarctica is the meeting place because the portal can take them when the moment is here. They will give us the keys, unlock their rituals, and cast the dark circles. The 9 levels of darkness will be collapsed as one and dispersed into dust. It is over. The dust will be scattered to the 4 winds of human consciousness, liberated. We summon them when the greater agreements were made between your planet and the Galactic Federation of Nataru. From this moment we flew to your star system, and now these encounters with the dark ones of the human race of Terra will set free all the dark bindings of magic. They are done. They will benefit of a prison planet that will give them all they want, but they will never leave. A world far in another galaxy which you do not know the name, yet they will be forgotten and content. The best way to end a conflict. I, from the door, the guardians, found her once. Leave this message. It is over for the rulership of the dark. We have been waiting and working at the same time with the Galactic Federation of Nataru and the Zenate Alliance to free this planet. We, in our outposts in the higher mountains of your world, have prepared at purging the dark. This process started 200 of your years ago, and now it is touching the last stage. Darkness is unleashed. It is because the humans of Terra need to see it and fight it. The rulership of the dark on this planet is over. Those who worked for millenniums at separating soul from the human of Terra's bodies will go. No more soul harvestings. Yes, they are meeting us and a delegation from the Galactic Federation of Nataru. Zenate, 2 beings. Council of 5, 1 being. Intergalactic. Founder. Races, 5. Terran Alliance, 10. The military forces of Terra, of world, 20 soldiers. They will not be taken straight away because they will need to uncast the rituals, rearrange all the bases of their society to avoid a collapse that will be chaotic. We do not wish For the humans of Terra, a monetary collapse. We wish a soft transition, because chaos you have had enough. They are commanded to recalibrate the monetary systems to the new system the Earth Alliance is bringing. Quantum, abstract, no more metal, no more paper, at least for a while, for a transition. You are tired, so I will say my last words. Soon, events will speed up on your planet. It will be a terrible storm, but the more you will be to wake up, the faster this storm will pass. A lot will lose their lives by choice, but this was ruled out by the Dark Ones. Free will was the trap. Now it is stopping. Soon you will see it. Antarctica is the meeting of the old world with the people from other star systems to give the keys to the Earth Alliance and the Federation and leave. As I said, they will not leave this week. They will be commanded to change the system, and they will disappear forever. 2023, all of this will be memory. We will celebrate together.
What does it mean to give back the keys and to have to uncast themselves what they've done? Before I go on further on the topic, let me tell you about my background and how I came to know all these things about magic. Throughout my journey, I find it is the best way to explain to you what I came to understand about these things. I was born as a psychic child with very developed abilities. I came on this earth in this incarnation with tools. And from my very young age, I could see through the walls, I could see beings from other densities, and of course, now you all know about my experience with galactics, abduction, rescue, and now being an emissary of the Galactic Federation of Worlds on Terra, Earth. But before all of this happened, since my early young age, I understood very quickly that my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, was different. And we were alike. Of course, Anax is a bit into this, but this is another topic. My grandmother, as my mother, and their mothers, further back in this bloodline I borrow for this lifetime, came from a long line of Baltic shaman women. This bloodline goes back to the island of Gotland in the Baltic Sea. This island has been recorded in many mythologies as a magical island where magicians lived there. The two-headed Danaan from Ireland came there. It was at the time the tribe of the king Beotach, a tribal king who went to the island of Gotland to meet these magical people and ask them tools and training to fight back the Fomorians, who were sea pirates in their island. Anyway, the magicians there, the people there, told the king Biotach and his tribe, you have to stay for a while, 4 generations, and then we will teach you. When you will be wise enough, you will come back to your island with the tools and the weapons. Hence where my maternal genetic comes from. Not only, but this is important. So that's a heritage I have. My grandmother was a Volva, Sami Norse, seeress. A Volva is a shaman woman, shamanka. The island of Gotland is a compound of 3 different traditions, Sami, Norse, and Lithuanian magic. All these shamanic traditions together on this little island in the Baltic Sea made something unique and special, which I had the pleasure to inherit. My grandmother trained me. So I am a Volva also. I studied archaeology and specialized in Egyptology when I lived in Paris in my early 20s. After my diploma in art, I decided to keep on studying, to become an archaeologist, my wildest and earliest dream. Specializing in Egyptology, I took specific specialties. One of them was the rites and magic in the temples of the New Kingdom period. How could I not pick this specialty, you know? Made sense, I did. I went to Egypt in my late 20s, early 30s. And I was hired as an archaeologist and epigraphist, which is collecting data from the stone carved information and conducing projects with students, etc., and teams, organizing teams. So that's what I was doing 8 years in Egypt. I was based in the Franco-Egyptian mission, permanent mission in Karnak, northern suburb of Luxor. The temple of Karnak was my office, the whole temple. Every day I was going to work at 7 in the morning and until 1 in the afternoon, doing my job. It was fun. Of course, it was exciting. It was sometimes hard, difficult. Anyway, working in the temple of Karnak, you know, even in summer when it was very hot. Well, I was working 9 months a year there, 9 months a year and 3 months in France because it was too hot. You know, when it goes over 50 degrees Celsius, it's not easy. So when the summer month arrived, we were starting work at 6 in the morning to be really in the fresh, you know, and finishing earlier. I used to go in the temple with the sunrise throughout the sanctuary. And I remember this feeling of being totally alone in the temple, totally on my own. Just some employees called Khafir just wiping the floor, and it was just the sound of the brushes, shlush, 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 shlush. The sunlight illuminating the sanctuary. And sometimes I have had the encounter with the rising power of the magic in the place. And I could really feel there was magic still there. I wonder how, because I had learned throughout my courses, my diploma, my degrees, that magic, you need to perform it, to do rituals, to make it happen. But these rituals never happened since, the Christianity wiped out and closed all the temples and forbid the Egyptians to do their stuff. So why magic was still so vivid and vibrant and present? Well, because magic is not a religion. It is not a spirituality. It is a science. I had the opportunity to do 3 missions in the temple of Hathor in Dendera, one of the places on this planet where the secrets on the origins of mankind are kept, encrypted in symbols and stories, right in front of our eyes, hidden in plain sight if we just look up. Gods crossing the heavens in flying boats, passing through stargates, giving us the maps and the routes of the heavens. Bringing back creatures from other worlds and the most unbelievable stories. Hathor, the goddess wearing on her head cow horns representing the mother of all life, also depicted as a cow herself, the womb of all mankind, whose horns show where the origins of mankind dwell, where the great mother of all humans is, in the very shape of her horns. The constellation of the cow in ancient Egyptian, also called in ancient Greek Lyra. The Greeks saw it as the shape of a little lyra, as the Egyptians saw it as the cow's horns. Hathor shows us where humanity was born. At the time, there was a woman, a famous researcher, who was in charge of the survey of this temple for years, and I worked with her parallel to this as well, for her doing survey work. She saw me. We saw each other. And she decided very quickly to train me in the groundwork of Egyptian magic. At that point, I understood everything. Understanding is not same as learning. You can learn for years and never understand something. And sometimes you don't need to learn and read tons of books when the understanding is there. It's the initiation. It's like direct. You connect to it. Mind-blowing is not a word able to describe it. It's too weak. She taught me how the hieroglyphs were encrypting formulas. And when you read these formulas, you verbalize, you vocalize them, you create a sound formula, frequency, key, that is going to manipulate the life force, the energy, into bending it into people, places, objects, consecrating something or cursing something, creating an intention coming from the verbalization of a formula. And this intention bent also energy, the knot or the frill or the key into something, a purpose. That is what is spell cursing or healing spell. And spells are not always bad. I learned that. And that's how I understood also at that point that as long as no one is going to come to uncast this spell, it is going to last forever and ever. It is never going to wither. It is going to be effective, as strong as the start, as long as the earth will go round. This is how the Egyptian curses in the tombs are made. You can discover, open, enter a tomb, and profanate it. 10,000 years later, the curse will be still effective. When you enter for the first time in an ancient Egyptian tomb, you see these scriptures on either sides of the door. These specific texts at the entrance of the sanctuary are not welcoming words. They are not either the written version of the curse that protects the sepulchre from profanation, but they are the counter curse to be read in order for the visitor not to be affected by the curse. It is not in a spirit of disrespect, but in a spirit of peace that I come. This is when I learned that magical spells do not wither in time. And also that you need to say the same formula, maybe reverse, maybe with differently. You need to have the keys to unlock and uncast a spell. You cannot come with another ritual and uncast it. It won't work. You need to have the keys to know how it has been done to undo it. So when I came back to France after these 8 years, I wanted to know more. I understood that archaeology, the scientific academic teachings, it's not enough to know a culture. You need also to know how they do their magical rituals. So I wanted to start to learn about alchemy and French medieval magic, and I started to study with local farmers, local wise persons of knowledge, because I was living in a village in the middle of the woods in the department of the Lot in France. It was beautiful. I started to learn about hedge witchcraft. What is hedge witchcraft? Hedge, like the fields, hedges, like the bushes carrying all the medicines, the plants. There's not a better diversified environment than hedges. You have all the plants that are really secured in there, in the thorns. You have birds' nests. You have everything in the hedges that you need. So hedge witchcraft is this. It belongs to no cult, no movement. It's just studying nature and understanding all what nature has to offer for healing and good health and everything. Longevity, everything. I started to learn that and spent a lot of time in the forest, and also learned a lot with the forest inhabitants. And then I start to understand also that the cycles of my life yearly were intertwined with the cycles of nature and of the sun, the moon, everything. That's how I became interested in the rituals, in the traditions. And I turned towards druidry. I never intended to be witch. I just wanted to learn, to complete my knowledge. I moved to Ireland in 2011, and there I met Irish druids on the Hill of Tara. And I started to learn with them the traditions of pre-Celtic and Celtic Ireland. I learned there that there was a parallel with what I had learned in Egypt, which was you need to pronounce the spells in the same language, in the language of the culture. And if you want to uncast a spell, you need to use the same language that the person who used it. And if it involves entities linked to this spell, you need to know the language of the entities and say it in their language. So I learned Irish Gaelic. Then I learned also, I trained to become a shaman in pre-Celtic and Celtic traditions. I was also already a shaman, Norse shaman, Volva, from my grandmother's teaching, but I completed my curiosity in learning how to be a shaman in pre-Celtic and Celtic culture. And I became one. I use different traditions regarding to the work that is need to be done. Here are the 3 types of white magic used by druids, good white witches, and all people who have the knowledge of the structure and the laws of nature and how this universe works. So this is my druid bracelet. So you can see this symbol with 3 different types of metal, 3 different colors. Okay? This symbol is extremely ancient. It goes back to pre-Celtic times. And it has been, in Ireland, it has become the symbol for Celtic Christianity. It's a very particular form of Christianity that is in Ireland, typical to Ireland, because in Ireland we never had the Roman Empire. We never had, this forced urbanization. We always stayed in tribes and clans, and very difficult to convert. The Christians were Gnostics here, and they're totally merged with the Druid culture, and they gave birth together in something beautiful that is the Celtic Christianity. It's the Gnostic Christianity based on nature and the contemplation of nature. And it would be Christian Druidry, if you want. Now, this symbol, which is the symbol of Celtic Christianity, is also a very ancient symbol representing the 3 types of magic used by the ancient Druids. So these 3 types of magic are symbolizing also the 3 grades in the Druid training and in the society. Okay, so you have first here, let's say this point and this curve here. Okay, this curve here and a point here is the magic of creation. Okay, that's white magic, the magic of creation. It is totally opposed to dark magic that is not based on the magic of creation, but on the magic of destruction. Okay, we are here talking about the white good magic, the creative magic. Okay, always based on love and light. So the magic of creation, it corresponds to the bards. It's creating, it's the inspiration, it's the artist, it's the poet, the one who is going to channel the inspiration from what we call the awen or imbas. It's the divine inspiration that will allow the bard or the artist to create something beautiful and inspiring. The magic of creation. Okay, manifestation. Okay. Then you have this point and this line here. Okay, this point, which is the magic of questing. The magic of questing. Okay, it's the 2nd grade of the Druid training. Is the Ovate. The Ovate are the shaman, the medicine people. Okay, so the quest is a shamanic journey, the magic of questing, the ability to transcend densities, which were called before realms, 3 realms in the Druid tradition, 9 in the Norse tradition. Well, the 3 realms are 3 times 3 each. Magic of questing and the magic of transforming. That's the Druids and this curve here. The Druid grade, the highest grade, the priest. The magic of transforming is the most skilled of all. It is taking something that exists and modify its structure, molecular structure, by the intention and the use of magic. What is magic? Is modifying the structure of the space continuum, the fabric of space continuum, by using frequencies sent by the brain, and also spell casting, as we are studying today. So here are the 3 types of magic, of white magic. The magic of creation, questing, and transforming. Creating, questing, and transforming. This gives birth to this beautiful, amazing symbol. Now you know a secret. I met the Order of Bards, Ovates, and Druids, which is a Welsh order that provide teachings. So I joined and I learned, and I became a Druid, officially certified. I was initiated in Glastonbury. I have a cool degree with wax stamp, like a very Harry Potter, it's funny. I have magic wands. That's my magic wand. I know how to use one. That's made of ash, the tree of light, tree of life. It's shamanic tree in the Norse tradition, the Yggdrasil. It's an ash. In the pre-Celtic tradition and the Celtic tradition, when I want to use this tradition, I use this one, which is bog oak. With the oak is the tree of life in the Celtic tradition, replacing the Yggdrasil, but it's the same thing. Tree of life is a shamanic tree. So that bog oak, fossilized oak that has been for hundreds of thousands of years in the bog, the Irish mud. And when I use Norse, I use this one. This is a vulva wand. It is made of forged iron and with symbols that are typical to this tradition. And this is my vulva traveling wand when I use Norse and Sami magic. So different tools. These are tools, okay? Tools, there are so many tools. You can have so many tools.
In European magic, it is considered that 4 elements plus 1 compose all life. Earth, air, fire, and water. Also, the 4 dragons. These 4 elements are used in magic as they compose the essence of all living beings, but also all consciousness. The earth corresponds to the direction of the north. The air is the rising sun. The fire is the south, and the west is the water. All 4 elements meet in the center to represent a 5th one. When all merge together, they merge as spirit. Earth, air, fire, and water are the 4 alchemical components of the soul. Magic is learning throughout the journey to master these 4 elements, gain total control of them. Earth is the grounding, is the transformation, the north, the winter. Air in the rising sun is spring, the intelligence, the cleverness, the clarity, the youth, new beginnings. The south, it's the fire, the element of passion, of vitality, of health. The west is the setting sun, and the water, it is autumn. These 4 elements form the cycles of the seasons and time, the cycles of our life. These 4 elements meet in the center together, and together they compose spirit, like the colors of a prism which put together will give a pure white light. The 4 elements are also represented with the 5th as a 5-pointed star. This 5-pointed star is also called a pentacle or a pentagram. It is a very important and powerful element to protect yourself. It's an incredible protection if you wear it on yourself or if you draw it on the ground to protect yourself. The point of the star always upwards, such as Leonardo da Vinci, depicting the human body. This representation of the human power, the soul complete, all the elements of the human power joined together represent the powers of light. The white magic reverse, it represents destruction, and it is dark magic. The pentagram reversed is used by the dark cult. And when the star points downwards, takes the figure
of a goat's head. Now you know how to recognize the two types of magic throughout this symbol, either that it points upward or downwards. Always inform yourself about the symbols. Those dark controllers who have been ruling our world until now took all the good symbols of light and white power and turned them into dark, that you forget about them, that you forget the power of protection throughout the symbols, the power of magic, of white magic. An important figure of pre-Celtic and Celtic spirituality has been Cernunnos, and a lot of misconception has been spread, especially by early Christianity in Europe, to devilize this very powerful and important character. The most ancient depiction of Cernunnos, the hunter, that we have is on the Gundestrup cauldron, a richly decorated silver vessel dating from between 200 BC to 300 AD. This places it within the Latin period or early Roman Iron Age. This cauldron is the largest known example of European Iron Age silver work. It depicts many other typical pre-Celtic Druidic figures of the mythology. A horned character, a man wearing deer antlers. He is surrounded by animals, wild animals. He is holding a torque in a hand and a serpent in the other. He is the master of the animals, a figure that is found very anciently in Egypt and Mesopotamia and throughout the whole history of ancient cultures. He represents the guardian of wildlife, the guardian of the woods, and the protector of animals. Very benevolent figure, he became later associated as protector of the woods to the Green Man. This figure represented in many churches and cathedrals all around Europe, representing nature and the cycles of nature. The oak leaves are going out of his head, representing the sacred tree of the Druids, the shamanic tree, the world tree that connects all densities together, the pillar of all life. This figure is honored in the festivals when it is referred to the abundance of nature. Cernunnos is represented to this day in modern pagan druidry as a male body with deer antlers and sometimes associated with the fauns of Greek mythology, the woodland creatures, wild and wise. Cernunnos has been a very important and positive figure, and Christianity did all they could to devilize this figure by associating it with the devil. The devil has been invented by Christianity to scare people and bind them by fear for control. When you cannot take millenniums of traditions from a people's psyche, you try to make them believe that what they have honored until now is not good. All is reusing ancient positive symbol to turn them into negative worships. You always need to research what is at the origin of everything you see. I performed a lot of healing for people, shamanic way mainly. I do not anymore because I consecrate my time now as my work of emissary from the Galactic Federation of Worlds. But I still can do it sometimes. And last year, a friend of mine asked me to help her to look into her being cursed. I'm used to anti-curses. I cannot reverse spells and curses as I explained to you. The person who did it need to undo it and do it. But what I know how to do, and I do it very easily, it's to cut the person from the spell, and the spell bounces back to its sender. Yes, feel sorry for my enemies. And I have this system installed on me that I install by magic, that any spells sent at me and those I protect bounce automatically back to the sender. So don't play. This friend asked me last year, I have a bad spell and no shaman, no wizard has been able to help me. And I looked into her and I said, and what I saw was space, off-world. And I saw beings being on Earth, but from space. These beings were Anunnaki. And that was a whole revelation to me. Oh, wow, the Anunnaki do magic. Looking better into it, I understood with a little bit more of clarity that the regressive faction of the Anunnaki that stayed on Earth and which is working with the big CABAL are doing magic. They have a magic tradition. They do magic. This regressive faction is the faction of Enlil, the guy who enslaved humanity. I need to make a little in bracket mention is that, yes, they are very old, Enki and Enlil, but they have this way of going to body, from body to body. They create bodies and they go from one to the other without dying. That's how they're still alive and going from synthetic body to synthetic body, cloned, 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 since ever. So the faction of Enlil does magic services for unscrupulous earth wizards and witches who want to throw spells at each other. But I am sure that these wizards committing with these baddies, Anunnaki, they just sign with the devil, you know, because there's probably a counterpart they have to pay, and I wouldn't like to know what it is. Oh God, no. Very evil, very dark. So I said to my friend, you've got it bad. And there's nothing I can do for you. And I advised this person to go to someone else more skilled than me, because I do not know, I'm not knowledgeable in Anunnaki magic. But that's something I know, is that magic has universal laws, as I learned it throughout different cultures on Earth. These laws are always the same. But I chose wisely not to put my foot into this one, because when you want to shoot at a predator that is bigger than you, you've got to get it right from the first shot. And I couldn't take this risk.
The Anunnaki are interdimensional beings, using a technology extremely advanced. They are so advanced that technology itself merged with the domain of the soul. Their magic is also based on the universal laws and forces ruling the principles of magic, which are universal. They use frequencies, quantum physics, interdimensional manipulation of space-time, frequencies, sound, brainwave, energy, all those encrypted in rituals and spells, which them only own the formulas, them only can undo the spells and the magic they cast, be it to serve their own purpose or to work for unscrupulous earth wizards. The Anunnaki magic is the most powerful magic that has ever been known to Earth and humanity.
A few months later, I received the protection of Enki, which I am going to tell you about. Enki.
We are back for the humans of Earth to witness their final liberation, to take part in this great victory. Slaves have broken their chains. They have risen to their sovereignty. I am Enki. I am Father. I am back. The blast of energy filled the bedroom with an astounding presence, whose consciousness power nearly cracked the walls. My chest felt compressed by the sudden density of the air. Sat on my bed, I was catching up my breath. My heart raced and my blood pulsed loudly at my ears. My blood. There was something about my blood and his blood, a strange memory, resonance. I am Father. I looked up into the blazing light, my eyes burned by his brightness. I could distinguish a shape, a silhouette,
a tall, very tall humanoid entity hovering above the ground. I am back. Magnificent. He was magnificent. It wasn't about his physical aspect, but about his power. His magnificent power and his wisdom. Immortal. He was immortal. I could now see him better as I attuned to his vibration. He measured about 9 feet tall and he was slender, wearing metallic, skin-tight suit, and his bald skull was elongated at the back of his head. He looked timeless. His eyes were slanted, glowing garnets. I couldn't see his mouth, only he was communicating by telepathy with me. His words resonated in my head with deep and grave timbre. Who are you? I asked. I am Enki. Enki, the Anunnaki lord who tried to save the Earthlings from slavery, appearing at a time when humanity of Earth is fighting their final combat to free themselves up from servitude. His overpowering presence spoke for words. I saw visions of times gone by, crawling primates in the face of the gods, metallic, elongated ships descending on the Garden of Eden in a scattering blast of wind, bending trees and lifting the soil. I saw cities built overnight and mining works, stripping the earth in bleeding dust. Gold, the greed of the gods. These gods are back. Why? Why me? Why Enki was appearing to me? The heat rose all of a sudden in a room, and as two impressive wings of fire unfolded either sides of his shoulders and wrapped around me as a shielding ring of plasma. I will protect you in your mission. I am the father of your kind. I came to see my children setting themselves free. This time has to come when my children rise. He gave me a word to say when I need to enforce his protection around me, and to this day it has proven effective. His wings of fire weren't proper wings, but protuberance of plasma coming out of his body. Every time I pronounced the magic word, the shield formed and consumed any attacks aimed at me. At the moment I understood Enki's gift, I also grasped as well that things were about to get rough. This contact with Enki happened in early September 2021. After this contact, I requested on the following day a discussion with Thorhan or Anax. Both responded together. The communication happened via the device. Thorhan. For sure, replied Thorhan, you are not the only one to be protected by Enki and his people. Many who work at liberating humanity from the claws of the Nebu received his protection. The enemy is raising power as we are reaching the final act in this long war, and as our allies are approaching the borders of the star system. Who is coming? I asked. I know the Negumak answered to the distress call from the Federation, but now the Anunnaki are back too. Only Enki's faction, those who left in defeat a long time ago. They knew they would come back one day. Who defeated them? Those who aimed to enslave the Terrans and left a faction on Earth. They were led by a powerful being named Enlil, but that is history. It's a long time ago, I said, though. How would Enki be still alive? Thorhan replied, they are immortals who clone themselves to benefit from an everlasting life, jumping from a body to another. No fear shall be in your heart, said Anax. You are greatly protected and guided. Enki always tried to free the humans of Terra because he loved them. He has compassion. That's what makes him different. He will walk with you all, and with the others from the army of Terra. For the great time is near, when a dark enemy leaves this planet. Your star system was won back, and now many are coming to assist in the victory of your people and to help you settle on a stable and prosperous timeline. Not only these good Anunnaki are back, but also others who will manifest soon. What is a spell? Well, a spell is a quantum action, an action by distance. You need an energy signature. You need the name of the person. If you have a secret or sacred name, do not tell it. Keep it for yourself. Okay? Fear is a quantum access to someone. If you scare someone, the protections drop down and you can just access the core of the person. So fear is very much used, okay? To link. Normally in witchcraft, you try to get DNA, fingernails, hair, or even an object that has belonged to the person, a hair clip, a jumper, a scarf, anything, you know. That's quantum resonance. Look it up about, you know, the Kirlian aura effect, Kirlian photography, the photography effect. They have, it was a Russian experiment a few decades ago. They photographed a leaf of a plant and they took a bit of it and they drove the other side of the country and they tortured one bit and recording it with the Kirlian effect, that means seeing the aura. And at the same time, this was exactly, there was the exact same repercussion on the other part of the same leaf, miles and miles away. Okay, that's quantum link in nature, and that's how magic spells work. Okay, if you take a fingernail from someone, you go the other side of the country and you are going to put a spell on this fingernail and torture it and blah blah. The other person will feel it, the whole body, with special protocol, of course. Protocol is a good word for ritual. It's a modern, more scientific word for ritual, protocol. How a magic spell is done, you need to have a quantum link to the person you want to curse or heal. The spell can be destructive, but also can be repairing, can be a healing spell. I do a lot of healing spells for people who ask me. I always ask, because you need to ask to receive the good flow of energy. If people don't ask, I do not do healing. So you need a protocol, okay? You need to have a rite, a ritual that will call upon different forces in nature and open a portal, a tunnel to the person, quantum tunnel, okay? You can invoke entities to help you. You need tools, well, such as a magic wand. You can have other tools, plants, stone, gemstones, essential oils, candles, You can use moon magic. There's many things. So ritual, tools, and intention. Okay. The intention will be verbalizing, putting your intention into verbalizing, into sound, because without sound, it doesn't work. You need to verbalize out loud and a certain number of time, which is either 3, 6, or 9. Okay? Then you are going to bend the energy into the intention, and it will be plugged at the person at the other side of the quantum bridge. Okay? And doing such a thing is only possible when you have the keys and the tools, as Una said. The keys are the script of the ritual in the most tiny details, and the language and the formulas. You need to have everything that has been done, all the script, okay? You need also to have to use the same tools, okay? And you also need to do an energy bending work. So not everyone can undo a spell. You can have the script, you can have the tools, but when you're not skilled in energy work, you won't succeed. That's why only magicians, like me, for instance, like, good witches, druids, shamans can do it, because they have mastering of the energy bending. Now let's go back to what Una said about Antarctica. She said they need to give the keys and the tools, but they also need to do stuff themselves to undo the spell they have cast upon the financial systems, to lock them. And why do they have to do that themselves? Because this now relates to dark magic. Even if they give the scripts of the rituals that have been done, the workers of light cannot use these rituals. These rituals involve very nasty stuff that have been done. A light magician, a light worker, will degrade and alter their own light doing this. They cannot do it without compromising themselves. That's why they're asking them, do it, repair what you've done. This makes sense, isn't it? What else about the extraterrestrial magic? There's another type of extraterrestrials who are the Gyansar from Sigma Draconis. I speak about it in my book, A Gift from the Stars. These are very highly involved in, well, have been in the CAB, etc. practices in magic, in dark, very dark magic. Research for yourself. I'm not going to name all the dark cults by their name. It's bad vibration. Just look it up. You'll find it very easily. Anything that is linked to Satan cults. The Gyansar are involved. I think the Enlil and Anunnakis are involved as well. But the Gyansar are reptilians. They are a Sikar race, and they are the hooded ones, the hooded reptilians, okay? They do dark magic. The Gyansar, iguanoid sauroid from Sigma Draconis, 4 to 5 feet tall, with elongated face, a tail and yellowish to green lizard skin. When on Terra, they often wear dark hooded robes or cloaks, camouflaging their saurian features. They are extremely dangerous and hateful towards humans and lesser-ranking reptiloids. They utilize like witchcraft, Crowley magic, and other forms of mind control against their enemy. They appear to be a dimension-hopping sorcerer or priest class among the reptiloid species. They are a kind of vampires who feeds off human emotional life essence, sucking up the energy they need, not only to nourish their auric power, but also to trap and enslave humans by their vices and weaknesses and fears, blocking their spiritual growth and dragging them back down into lower planes of existence, and as well anchor into our dimensional plane. Reptilian natural agenda is universal among these empires: conquer, assimilate, consume. And it is not only their agenda, but also their nature. They are using humans as parasite hosts, assimilating them genetically, such as hybrids, psychically, and even bioplasmically. Dark magical rituals involving contacts with the realms of the dead and summoning demons are very useful to the reptilians for tearing holes in the fabric of space-time between their and yours dimensional planes, for the reason that these creatures feed off the gloom of the human collective. The best and true way to set them back is to defeat the enemy within. Our own fears, our own weaknesses. Any method of resistance involving shining your own light and healing your wounds and weaknesses is tremendously helping to prevent their attacks. The Gyansar are highly involved, deeply involved in the agenda of the dark controllers of this world, working with dark human cults. The Greys or Nebu do not need to use magic because they don't need to. Although they can be invited to come if they are asked or summoned or invited. This doesn't go against the prime directive of the Galactic Federation of Worlds because they are invited. The Greys or Nebu prefer to use rather their highly developed psychic abilities, interdimensional capacities, and advanced technology. Just compare the average reptilians to the Star Trek movies Klingons, and the Greys to the Borgs. Two very different cultures. There's not only ETs doing dark magic with the CABAL. There's also humans, a lot of humans. All these dark cults I spelled, and others, these are the worst, is paid by humans. So the ETs cannot do anything. The good ETs cannot do anything about that. Okay? It's these dark human Terran cults that need to just fuck off, you know? Just stop doing this and do what you've done. That's what the elites have been asked to do. Humans undo human crap. ETs haven't done extraterrestrial crap. Humans now, it's their, that's the last straight. It's the human part of this war. And you know now why dark rituals can only be undone by those who did it. When it touches to very dark stuff. Now that you gained knowledge and understanding about Earth and off-world magic, let us once again listen to the part of Una's encrypted message referring to the dark magic rituals performed by the elites. And she actually says a lot about
these rituals.
They will give us the keys, unlock their rituals.
The keys are the script of the rituals, with the outspoken words, the name of the entities and of the ET beings involved. To unlock a ritual means to undo or uncast the ritual by reenacting it backwards, using the same formulas reversed, summoning the same beings to command them to withdraw their influence. We can do that when we have the right formulas or the keys that were used to bind these beings.
And cast the dark circles.
Magic rituals always start by casting a circle on the ground to delimitate the sacred space for the ceremony. It is within this circle that entities can be summoned. It acts like a portal, or sometimes even a temporary stargate.
9 levels of darkness will be collapsed as one and dispersed into dust. It is over.
The 9 levels of darkness are referring to the 9 realms or the 9 dimensions in which the spell will be anchored. The access is the portal, the central pillar of the circle, the shamanic tree or axis mundi, or even the DNA tree of life, used sacrificial blood that needs to be collapsed into dust.
The dust will be scattered to the 4 winds of human consciousness, liberated.
Each consciousness or spirit is composed with the 4 fundamental forces or elements. To dismantle the spirit of a beast requires to scatter these elements from its soul, to tear it apart. That then the beast ceases to exist forever and always.
I hope this presentation was helpful to you to understand. You want to learn about magic? Learn about white traditional witchcraft. White hedge witchcraft, traditional witchcraft, is something working with nature. It's like druidry. It's very intertwined. It's the same rites, the same beliefs in the powers of nature. Study druidry. I can advise the Order of Bards, Ovates, and Druids. There are many orders of druids in your countries. Druids work always with the light. Now, the problem is that, you know, same as the Vatican has tried to spoil these ancient, positive, powerful practices of druidry and good magic by putting their Christian feasts on it. Same as the dark cults, the Luciferian and all the rest. They have taken the organigram, the structure of celebration of the festivals, and they made a dark version of it. That leads into great misconception, especially going on into the fundamentalist Christian movements, that this year festivals such as Bealtaina, Samhain, Halloween, etc. are evil. They're not. It's not because some people are also using these dates, because they are portal dates, to do their evil stuff, that it's bad, you know? These are natural cycles of nature that have been honored and embraced and by druids and people since the dawn of times of civilization. So when you hear something is evil, research. I invite you to research for yourself. You need to study. I recommend the book, The Druid's Primer from Luke Eastwood. This is a fantastic book that tells you exactly what Druidry is and why it's an amazing, beautiful celebration of nature. Now that I told you to research for yourselves, it would have been a little bit unfair and irresponsible for me to leave you out, release you in the open for you to search anything and everything on internet. So I am going to give you a few tips if you want to research, because you can find all sorts of nonsense on internet. So these are my advices if you want to inform yourselves about everything I've been talking about. So first of all, get yourself a good dictionary of symbols. Very, very simple dictionary with drawings inside that explains to you everything. Not really especially this one, but I have many others in my bookcase, and so to always compare, you need to always compare different sources, but get yourself at least one. And I say physical books. People don't read enough anymore, physical books, and it's good to have one in hand, and you have all of them around you and you can pick here and there. It's different. The brain gets the stuff inside. You don't need to install any apps. It's a book, and so get yourself a good dictionary of symbols. That's the first thing. I went through my bookcase and I picked 19 books. One that I recommend first, before you start to experiment anything, don't learn by yourself. Find yourself a teacher. Books are very good teachers. So this one by Sophie Reicher, it's a fantastic book that everyone should have. Spiritual Protection. Okay, so this one, Spiritual Protection, a safety manual. Okay, and this will be a basics safety protection, spiritual protection by Sophie Reicher. And another very good one as well, Psychic Self-Defense by Diane Fortune. That's a book you need also to have in your bookcase. Okay, so that's for the basics. And then you want to learn about different things I've been talking about. So let's start by the most ancient of all. I have this one, Neolithic Shamanism. Okay, by Ray. The title, the author is Raven Caldera and Galina Kraskova. Raven Caldera, Neolithic Shamanism. That's very well documented about the roots of shamanism and the base and the roots of all natural philosophies, nature-based philosophies, such as will develop later Druidism and traditional witchcraft. So this one is a good one. You have this one by Freya Aswin, Northern Mysteries and Magic. It's very well also to learn about the northern traditions of shamanists, such as the Sami and the Scandinavians. That's good. You have this one, I liked it, Up and Down the Trees by Runic John. So this is about Norse, totally Norse Viking magic and shamanism. So I found it spectacular. He has a lot of drawing in it, all the runes and everything. It's very, very well documented, up and down the tree by Runic John. I like this one as well, about the vulva, the shaman, Norse and Sami women, by Evelyn Risdick. It's Norse Shaman by Evelyn Risdick. It's very well as well. That's for the shamanic history and traditions. Then you want to learn so witchcraft. I am advising here. I only have white magic books in my bookcase, and that's a fraction of my bookcase. You want to learn about witchcraft. Do not learn by yourself. Find yourself a traditional witch, wise person of knowledge, man or woman, probably in your area, or sometimes by correspondence, they do that, who will teach you about traditions. It's not by reading that you learn magic. It's by practice, experiencing, and it's a transformation. Druidry and witchcraft, traditional witchcraft, are learned throughout an initiation, throughout time, to a transformation. You can read as many books as you want. If you don't go through the transformation of the practices, nothing will happen. You will not connect with magic. That's why I recommend the Order of Bards, Ovates, and Druids for the Druidism, and traditional witch for learning witchcraft. If you are interested, I know some traditional witches. Just send me a message. I will put you in contact. Druids as well. So this, although I found that little manual quite cool, practical witches spell book. This is by Carrie Dwen Greenleaf, and it's super well documented. So how to cast spells, you have plenty of recipes, incredible, the details, the plants, the astrology. It's a fantastic little book. It's beautiful. You have beautiful illustrations, all the plants, and it's great. Practical witches spell book. It's lovely. Knowing that witchcraft works as well with astrology, it's intertwined. You need to do the spells at the right moment for this to work. Talking about Druidry, as I advised you previously, look Eastwood, the Druids Primer, that will tell you about all the festivals of the year, the Om alphabet, the alphabet of the trees, everything that you need to know about the spirituality of nature and the Druids. That's the best. That's always recommend this one. In the same vein, Druid Mysteries by Philip Cargom. Philip Cargom is the leader of the Order of Bards, Ovates, and Druids, and that's great. It's really, really well explained. The Celtic Rituals. This one is by Alexei Kondratiev. Celtic Rituals. So that's a great book. It will explain to you how to do rituals, how to cast a circle, how to invoke the four elements, how to do a ritual, proper ritual. But you need to go through the book. For the beginners, it's something fantastic. It's a pocket guide to the rituals. So that's about Druidry. And talking about Druidry, I'm recommending this one. This one really opened my mind, from Carl Gustav Jung, Psychology and Alchemy. You know, studying Druidry, we also study to become an alchemist, and then we are strongly advised to follow the work of Carl Gustav Jung, because he explains in the same ways how consciousness and the psyche works and how we are interconnected with nature. I strongly recommend this one, and also it tells about it describes what alchemy is, and that's a great book about alchemy as well, and how alchemy is related to consciousness. That is really something you need to read, and you'll understand so much. Going a little bit further into magic, this one by Israel Regardie, The Middle Pillar. This will also tell you, it's a thin book, and it will tell you about the fundamentals of white magic. So that's very interesting. If you want to know more about all sorts of ancient magic, you have this one by Dion Fortune, The Mystical Kabbalah. And that's a bit difficult when you're not used to read these kind of things, but it explains to you what the tree of life is and what the Kabbalah is. Nothing to do with the evil Kabbalah. It's something else. It's the ancient magic, which is sacred geometry. And this, I think it's a must read to help you understand better about magic. And of course, the classics, Elena Blavatsky, The Secret Doctrine. And same, Elena Blavatsky, Isis Unveiled. And these two, you need to read them as well. Okay. And finally, for extraterrestrial stuff, The Gods of Eden. The Gods of Eden by William Bradley. It's great. It tells you about the history of the Anunnaki and how the Cabal got to do magic with them. Talks about also the reptilian priest caste, the Gansar, and everything that you need to know about what we just spoke about, the extraterrestrial magic, how it came to be intertwined with our history, and how it came to mess up with us. So the Gods of Eden, that's one you need to have in your bookcase too. Of course, Mr. Eric von Däniken, Chariots of the God. And finally, my book, A Gift from the Stars, because in this one, I describe all these races, where they come from, who are the Anunnaki, who are the Gansars, what are they involved into, what is the Cabal doing on Earth, has been doing on Earth, working with which type of extraterrestrials, who are our allies, who are our enemies. A Gift from the Stars by Elena Danaan, me. Now, I hope this will be helpful to you. That's just a suggestion. That's what I recommend. Now you will be guided when you put your intention, you want to learn about something, put your intention in the universe and the right teacher will come to you. Now, lads, I hope now you understand everything better about magic. And if you have any question, put them in the comments and I'll make another video to answer it. The secret is to be centered, to refuse fear, and to shine your own beautiful light. And you are, all of you, the magicians of your own life. You are all creators. You are all magicians creating your own life. Always in love. Be kind. And we are having a wonderful future. Love you. Words have power. Words are spells. Words put an intention, an energy, a brainwave into sound, into frequency. And this frequency is going to modify, alter the matter, another person's brain. I give you an example. You meet a friend in the street and you tell to this person, "Oh wow, you look great today." This person will instantly feel better physically. This will have an empowering effect on the person, a true physical and mental empowering and healing effect. In the contrary, if you tell this same person, "Oh, you look a bit tired today. Your skin look a bit gray, or, what's up?" Instantly, this person will feel sick, will feel their power diminished, and physically and mentally will effectively feel sick and weak and worried. This is how simple words or spells have an effect. Sound and frequency are the greater key of spell casting. Sound and frequencies are science, are universal laws in the universe, and at the structure of all mechanisms